welcome everyone to this session on Slack called Slack is the Digital HQ for AWS Developers and DevOps Team. My name is Logan Franey. I'm a Senior Developer Solutions Manager at Slack. Previous experience in IT operations, marketing to developers and DevOps engineers, and in particular for incident management as well. I'll let Clint introduce himself.
Hi, my name is Clint Burns. I'm a solutions engineer here at Slack. I've been here for about 4 years. I started my journey in customer support, customer experience, where I worked with developers in the identity management sphere, working to kind of refine our software development lifecycle. I switched over into incident management, kind of helped refine that process before switching into solutions engineering, where I get to share all that knowledge with customers like yourself in the new kind of digital HQ. Nice to meet everyone.
All right, so if you think you know Slack, let me start with just a quick analogy that I think better describes what it is and what the value of it is. So stick with me here for a second. So if you think of information and knowledge on an absolutely massive scale, you think of the internet, right? And I think when it was small, we can still kind of remember the days where to find something, you might spend a lot of time kind of switching in between search engines. You might go from Lycos to Ask Jeeves to Yahoo and try to hunt and peck and try to figure out, where is this piece of information and how do I get to it? And I think this was okay because the internet was new, it was exciting, and there just wasn't that much out there that it made it overly difficult to find what you were looking for. But that information, it's siloed, and it really makes the internet a little bit unruly. But as the internet started to scale, this became more and more of a problem, where we really needed information to be more digestible and more useful. And so now Google comes along, and in a single search, you can find exactly what you're looking for really quickly. So you can find the right piece of information, you can purchase a product, you can sign up for a service, you can find the right community or find the right people. And it really streamlined our ability to do all these things. But I think most importantly, it really tamed the complexity and the scale of the internet. And software development, it's gone through a similar transformation. With the advent of Agile and DevOps, it's changed not only the way that we build code and we test and iterate and we deploy it and we operate it when it's in production, but really fundamentally how we work together in teams. That's been one of the biggest fundamental shifts. And these are teams that are expected to release software faster than ever at this exponentially fast rate, and also have the expectation that this software never breaks. So really, really high expectations. And this new way of working with Agile and DevOps, it's obviously better, right? If we're thinking about the old school waterfall approach, it's better, it achieves better business results, we can innovate much faster. But it's also introduced some other changes as well. I'll call them unintended consequences, where, first of all, we're working more cross-functionally than ever in these productized interdisciplinary teams, where we might be closer to kind of this cross-functional team, like your business and your UX and design team, but it's actually kind of creating a little bit of a separation from the broader engineering organization. Next is, as we've adopted decoupled microservices architectures, it's led to a kind of changes in team structures that reflect and kind of support now this kind of microservices format that we're in now. And finally is the proliferation of dev tools, this best of breed approach that makes it really easy for each and every team to adopt the tool set that works best for them. And not everything's standardized across the company because every team can use exactly kind of what fits their product, what fits their style, what fits their team, and kind of the velocity that they're working at. And so even though our team structures and our tools have changed, communication and collaboration is really the one thing that it just hasn't quite caught up in the same way. Where if we're releasing on a weekly basis or even a daily basis, this chain of command-style communication, it just doesn't work for the speed and velocity that we're required to work at to meet those expectations. And it's creating silos whether that's in email threads or one-on-one direct messages. You've got knowledge, tribal knowledge that's trapped in different tools, it's trapped with specific people. And really all this, it doesn't reflect the way that we work in Agile or DevOps. You can't find the right information, you can't connect with the right people in larger organizations, and you can't do this quickly enough, again, to meet the expectations in that velocity and speed that we should really be working at. And so really what the need here is to centralize all this and bring transparency to all this work and all these communications. What Slack calls this is a digital HQ. And it's one that works really well for engineering, as we've seen for the adoption, just the way in that you can work cross-functionally and automate with all that speed. It really helps teams meet those expectations of that velocity to release software faster at a higher quality than ever. And so to bring this analogy all the way back around, just like the internet did for knowledge and information, Agile and DevOps, it made software development better, right? But it also made it a little bit more messy. And so you can think of Slack like the Google search, and not literally the search capabilities just by themselves, although that's also great, but just the ability to really cut through all the noise and get to the right piece of information and do what you need to do very quickly. And really what Slack does is it helps harness that vast amount of knowledge and that vast amount of information that's spread across your organization and brings together the tools, the teams, the communications, and really all the work that you're doing across the organization into a single place. And really creates a more centralized way for engineering teams to work cross-functionally, bring transparency to everything that they're doing, work with that speed and velocity that's needed, and also integrate all the dev tools and automate as much work as possible. And so, let's be honest and recognize that Slack is not an Agile tool. It's not a DevOps tool. But what Slack does is it enables these things that I just referred to that are these critical capabilities that are meant to make Agile and DevOps much more successful. And so Slack is really that communication tool that better reflects how engineering teams work with Agile and DevOps kind of frameworks and cultures. And what Slack helps you do is ship quality code faster, minimize incidents and downtime, and really scale the engineering org in a more productive manner to really transform the way that you build and deliver software. And so this is a little bit hard to picture is, well, how do we use Slack for engineering? And so I thought it'd be easier just to show a very high level, very generic kind of software development lifecycle. Obviously this looks different for everyone, but this is just a very easy way to explain it. So first, when you're planning software, this could be in the very beginning where you're building a new product, or even sprint planning. And you're collecting customer feedback, you're doing your sprint planning in tools like Jira, you're doing daily stand-ups. And then when you're ready to actually build something, doing pull requests through integrations like, let's say, GitHub and GitLab and Bitbucket, and do all your code reviews and actually build the product, and find what you need across the organization to make you more successful. Next is you're ready to do your build, you're ready to do all your testing, and so you're going through your whole CI/CD pipeline process. And finally, you're ready to deploy, and as you're deploying, you can really get visibility and transparency to what's happening in that moment. And then if something breaks, before it goes into production or as it's going into production, very easily spin up an incident room, streamline your troubleshooting and investigations, and then follow up with an easier incident review. So that's kind of how Slack works in terms of kind of use cases across the software development lifecycle. And then across everything else that you do, just being more productive and doing this in a way that scales. So as you're adding on more resources, onboarding new developers and new engineers very quickly, sharing knowledge across the organization, reducing context switching by integrating all your tools into a single pane of glass, and then any sort of processes that you have with reviews or approvals, whether it's engineering specific or not, really automating that and streamlining it. And so first wanted to talk about kind of the software development piece, that kind of plan to deploy stage. In that, I mentioned this chain of command style communication. Again, it slows everything down. So the products that you're trying to bring to market, it's really slowing that whole process down. Next, I talked about the proliferation of dev tools. This is great. You've got these amazing tools. You've got this best-of-breed approach. It works perfectly for your team. But again, this knowledge and what's happening in terms of work is siloed in these tools across the organization, and it's forcing you to do more and more context switching. And so this is not as much heads-down focus time. And finally, the more we can automate, the better in most cases. And so making sure that you're not spending too much time doing manual non-value-add tasks. Because the more you do that, the less time you have for innovation. And so a few quick examples of how we see customers really using Slack for this is, first of all, coordinating across Agile teams and partners. So having feature and sprint channels that really bring together your cross-functional team across engineering, product management, even your business partners into a single place. So you really have transparency to everything that's going on. And you can plan features, you can action on your pull requests, test with your QA team, and really have visibility to everything that you're deploying and any issues that are arising. And you can also bring in partners. Let's say you have a third-party developer shop that you work with. Let's say you're working with a vendor to develop a new feature, or you're building an integration with a partner. You can use Slack Connect to really do all this in the exact same way and partner with external organizations. Next is really unifying the DevOps toolchain and kind of integrating your dev tools into a single place. And this is really important for reducing context switching. So you can bring in your sprint planning tools, UX, source control, CI/CD, observability and monitoring tools, really all into a single place if you choose to do that. And this is really bringing in your notifications, your approvals, and any actions that are needed into these centralized channels to bring transparency to everything that's going on in the software development lifecycle and every conversation that's happening around decisions that need to be made. And finally is automating work across the whole software development lifecycle. In most cases, we should automate whatever we can, in not every case, of course. But Slack really tries to give flexibility into how to automate. Sometimes automations can, very simple automations can add a lot of value. And so there's different ways to do this, working through building simple workflows, using our out-of-the-box tool integrations with over 2,400 integrations, or even building lightweight custom apps. And we see a ton of customers doing this. It's pretty straightforward. It's pretty simple. And it allows you to really customize, what your software development lifecycle looks like for your team. And so just to summarize this, coordinating across teams and partners, integrating all your dev tools into one place, and automating whatever you can. We see that this results, from what we've seen with customers, in bringing products to market faster and reducing dev cycle time. Now I want to go into incident management. So we see this as one of our most popular use cases. It's got very clear and tangible business value, and we'll kind of walk through why. So some of the challenges is, first, getting the right people in the right place takes too long, and so this slows down response times. And then when you actually get responders in the right place, there's a lot of distractions, there's a lot of interruptions. People are asking, what's going on? Can you catch me up? And this obviously impacts MTTR and ultimately downtime. And then once the incident's over, whatever happened in that incident, whether it's across different email threads or direct message, text messages, Zoom call recordings, that incident data is very scattered and siloed. And so it's difficult to really run that incident review and make that efficient, because you have to look across all those different silos. And so your incident review, a lot of times it's incomplete in a lot of ways. And ultimately you don't learn from some of the most important actions to help prevent some of these issues in the future. So first, how Slack really helps out with this is the ability to alert and respond in real time. So through our out-of-the-box integrations, if you have on-call responders kind of predefined with tools like PagerDuty or OpsGenie, once you get monitoring alerts from something like AWS CloudWatch or GuardDuty, really getting those alerts piped into the right place, declaring an incident, and really automatically spinning up an incident channel, so then everybody's pretty immediately in the same place at the same time, and can start going through those investigations and that troubleshooting. Next is once you're actually in that incident, everyone who comes in, let's say you come in 5 minutes late, and you instantly have that situational awareness in that context because you can just scroll up in the channel and see exactly what happened, who said what's going on in the conversation, so you don't have to interrupt as soon as you join. And then for parallel investigations, like let's say you're looking at some of your metrics or logs, you want to look in the database, you want to take a look at network. Not every single person in the incident has to be involved in that conversation. And if everybody's putting in what they care about in a single channel, it starts flooding it. It starts creating a lot of noise and a lot of clutter. And so what we have is threading capabilities, which really declutters that and gives people the level of context that they need. So if you want to dive into a particular conversation, you can go to a thread. But if you're an executive, you can still get your summary level view without getting too lost. And finally, once that's all over, because you use Slack as your incident management war room, pretty much that serves as your time-stamped audit trail. So every decision that was made, the metrics and logs that you posted in there, you can really see what happened at what time. And so as you're going through the incident review, it's very clear there's less blame, there's less bias, because it's very fact-based. And you can even automate parts of the incident review process, even as you're going through it. You're trying to put out a fire, trying to mitigate the risk here, and so you don't have time to take all the notes on all the corrective actions in the future that you'd like to address. And so you can just put a quick emoji. That could be a light bulb, a mailbox, whatever it might be, and you can have these sent to another channel, like a lessons learned channel or even a Google Doc. That makes it really easy for the incident reviewer to very quickly see what's important. And so again, the ability to alert and respond in real time and spin up those incident rooms and get people in the right place very quickly, resolving issues quickly without interruptions and distractions, and really streamlining that whole incident review process and making sure that you're not wasting everybody's time and all the costs that are associated with that. We see a faster time to detect incidents, as well as obviously faster MTTR. And finally is really more the human and I'll say the cultural element of Slack and how it helps companies really scale their engineering org in a more productive fashion. So there's a bunch of obstacles to productivity and the flexibility that people want. And of course, in this remote or hybrid, and we'll call it the digital world, is this lack of connection, and it's leaving people unengaged. Not just engineers. I think we all feel it. This lack of connection, and so your culture gets degraded because you don't have that same connection where you can just tap someone on the shoulder anymore. You have a slower onboarding process because you don't have people sitting there right with you. If you join on day one and you just get forwarded a bunch of email threads, it's not really helpful for getting up to speed and context quickly. And a lot of the knowledge and the information that you're looking for is spread across many different teams, many different tools, and you get it piecemeal as you ramp up, but it's very hard to find things. And so the first thing that Slack does, and this is really becoming more and more important, right, is building culture in this digital world. And I'll say that Slack is really built by design for visibility, for transparency, and for inclusion. And one of the ways that this happens is really through public channels. We recommend that you have as many channels public as possible. Obviously, some should be private. Maybe your team channel is private. maybe in more informal conversations that need to happen or more sensitive information. But in general, we recommend that you make as much public as possible. Because what this does is it encourages contribution. It encourages diverse perspectives. It encourages diverse feedback from people that may not be included in that conversation in an email thread because they weren't copied on it. No one thought to include them. And so this is where we really see people becoming more connected with their work and with their organization. We're also trying to make communication more flexible. Not everyone wants to do Zoom calls all day, every day. Not everybody wants to be on video. And so with new features like Slack Huddles and Slack Clips, we're trying to informalize communication and really let you choose how you want to communicate, how you want to digest information, and recreate more informal ways of meeting people and talking, like a hallway conversation. Is like using Slack Huddles is a great way to kind of recreate that in the digital space of what used to be in the office. Many people haven't heard of Slack Atlas, but I don't want to call it an org chart tool, but essentially if you click on someone's name in Slack, you can see who they are, what the org structure looks like, but also really actually who they are as a person. Because you don't have as many of these running into people more naturally and randomly meeting people. And so you can see things like their pet names and their kids' names and their SoundCloud account, for example. And you can really personalize this in a way that you can tell people what you want them to know about you, what's important to you as a person. And so it really helps foster this connection. Next is the ability to rapidly onboard and retain talent. If you've been onboarded on Slack, you know that on day one, if channels are public, you can pretty much see every conversation that's going on. If you want to search for something, you can easily find it. You're not sure if a channel exists for something, you can easily find it. And so it's really this kind of searchable and referenceable, I'll call it record of work, starting on your very first day. And so it really helps you ramp up much quicker and get up to speed. And then it also helps with this dev culture. Slack is really built for asynchronous communication. We know, across time zones, and you're trying to hire across different countries, and more companies are open to people working remotely. Asynchronous communication is becoming more important than ever because not everyone's in the same, they're certainly not in the same building anymore, but a lot of people are not even in the same time zone. So it really allows for that flexibility. We also know that do not disturb mode is one of engineering's favorite features. It's the equivalent of putting on your headphones and letting people know I'm in heads down focus mode. Don't bother me, and you won't get notifications. And that's a really easy way, you want to get in the zone for a couple hours, just throw on do not disturb mode. And through some of the things I talked before, Slack Huddle, Slack Clips, and just some of this asynchronous communication, it's really bringing more informality and letting people kind of giving them a freedom of expression to express themselves in the way that they want in the digital workplace. And finally is the ability to find answers faster. There's so many ways to do this, but essentially, the ability to search for messages, to search for channels, to search for people, if they've gotten certain key terms in their profile, across the whole organization, if you know what you're looking for, it's pretty easy to get to where you want. And if you don't know what you're looking for or who you're looking for, and you want to ask a question in a public place, we find that just asking the question, different people can pitch in. Where if you're just emailing someone or direct chatting someone, they may not know the answer, they may not have the right answer, and you end up getting bounced around, right? It's that whole ping pong where it gets forwarded 5 times and finally you've gotten to someone who can help you, but they're out of office, and so you can't get what you need to. But people really pitch in and collaborate a lot more on trying to help in public channels and get people to the right place. So we call it crowdsourcing of information and answers. And so in terms of building culture in a digital world and really improving that culture and that connection, being able to rapidly onboard and retain talent, And being able to find answers really quickly, whether you're searching for something or whether you're asking a question. Slack really helps as engineering orgs are scaling, really keep that productivity. And increasing that productivity and giving more satisfaction and retention when the best tools are provided to make people successful. And so now I will hand it off to Clint.
Thanks, Logan. So, kind of throughout the session today and like on the floor, in my experience as a salesperson, I often meet developers like yourself that are mature users of Slack or kind of big advocates for Slack, but struggle to roll that out more broadly with their company, whether that's on their team or kind of across the board. So what I do in sales is I work with people like yourself to build a business case, much like this one. And I take some of the solutions that Logan walked through today and tie them to clear business outcomes and supporting evidence, whether that's from like a report like Forrester or from your own company's inputs, and help that bring that to your decision makers to roll out Slack more broadly. But today, I'd like to walk you through kind of 5 easy hacks and my tips and tricks or favorite tools in Slack to make life easier for DevOps. So the first kind of hack I'll walk you through is bringing your stand-up meetings into channel. So instead of finding time every week to get everyone together, which may take away time from your build time, we can bring everything into Slack. So everyone can share updates or catch up whenever they're ready. You can share what you're working on this week, what you worked on last week, what you're blocked by, or maybe a win of the week or something that challenged you, something you're looking forward to. And you can automate this process with Slack's workflow builder. So what you can do is have kind of a bot come into channel every week or every day and ask people to share an update. With features like audio clips or video clips, you can share ideas or concepts, show what you're working on, or give kudos to your team. You can also share your screen in these clips to demo something you're working on or explain a concept to your team. So kind of demo something you're working on to your team. Most recently, Stuart Butterfield actually ran our entire all hands with video clips. He kind of shared his update, and then Tamar shared hers. All the executives in turn kind of shared theirs. And then we kind of string that together into a big video so I can kind of watch my all hands from there. Of course, you can do this in your team meeting as well if you wanted to. But sometimes if you need to kind of talk through something or there's something urgent or time sensitive, or if you just want to like catch up after a long weekend or the conference, sometimes it's easier to chat things out. So we've created Slack Huddles, which is backed on Amazon Chime. And what these are an audio-first, lightweight way to communicate with your colleagues. When you open up Huddle in channel, anyone can freely join or leave that Huddle, much like a casual conversation in the office. And then people can share their screen. Other people can draw on that screen. It's perfect for things like pair programming or, again, explaining a concept to your team. In sales, I do it for my pre and post meetings instead of jumping on another Zoom call. You don't have to schedule something or be on video, because I think we're all kind of sick of that now. So Slack brings transparency and speed to the deployment process, as Logan kind of walked through, which ultimately means bringing software to your customers faster. So you can easily connect a tool like Jira Cloud into Slack to create tasks and issues from channel with a simple / command or a message action. And what that does is it creates the ticket in Jira, obviously keeping that updated, but it gives all of your colleagues the context where they're already working and collaborating. This saves your team time from switching between a bunch of different tools and keeps your system of record, Jira in this case, updated and your system of engagement kind of fluid and flexible. There are a variety of continuous integration tools like Jenkins that you can tie into here as well. So I could do my code reviews with GitHub. I can share my PRs and my commits, do my code review, and then push that in through Jenkins, all from channel, and deploy from channel as well. If an issue arises, channels like this help us very easily find which PR kind of caused the issue so we can quickly scale it back. By sharing everything like this in open channels, cross-functional partners can easily jump in to get an update, or you can share issues or solve problems together instead of getting lost in email inboxes or silos. So as I mentioned before, I worked on the incident management team for quite a while at Slack, and when I started, it was very, very simple. So we just like spun up a new incident channel for every incident and just kind of swarmed on the issue from there. Over time, we kind of layered in complexity over top. So now when an incident is triggered, either kind of manually or automatically, a channel is automatically created and all the key stakeholders are automatically invited. And what that allows us to do is accelerate the initial reaction response. We can jump on a bridge if we need to, share our management guides, and then our incident managers can share their CAN reports, engineers can share their PRs, do code reviews, and then people like myself in customer experience can jump in, get a quick update, and then share that more broadly to our customers or cross-functional partners. We've now kind of integrated rich bidirectional integrations, so think like AWS Chatbot, to help reduce context switching and speed up those investigations, hopefully like pushing a Lambda function or restarting a server to get us back up to speed really quickly. So what this does is it creates a single command center for detection, containment, and post-incident analysis, which is referenceable for future enablement. After the incident's done, we post the RCA in channel and then archive that channel, so anyone in the future can go back and see all of the context and decisions that happened with that incident. And then what we use, I've told a few of this at the booth, we use a tool called React Channeler. So a message reaction is adding a kind of an emoji to a message. And there's an integration called React Channeler. And what we do with that, we have a React called Incident Summary. It's like a little message box. And any message that we react to with that emoji is piped into another channel. So of course, an incident channel gets kind of chaotic. Everyone's swarming and kind of doing their thing. We use that React Channeler to build our timeline for key events across the incident. So when we do our postmortem, we have a very clear timeline of all the decisions that happened throughout the incident, making that postmortem and the RCA easier to generate. If you want a custom demo of any of this, we're in booth 849. I can show you how this works. All right, so we've all been in kind of a traditional job where we need to find something, and what we do is we kind of maybe email a colleague or a friend that we know, and this bounces us around to a bunch of different teams, generally on several different mediums, to kind of find our subject matter expert, and then when we find them, we have to explain them what we need, and hopefully they can help us. In Slack, all of these messages, profiles, files, people, bots, and channels are all indexed, helping you quickly find what you need, all with the power of search. And by hosting your stand-ups, your code reviews, your incidents all in Slack, all of this kind of creates a repository of information that's surfaced in search. You can tie in file sharing services like a Box or a Google Drive, and all of the files shared through that are indexed, not just their titles, but the contents as well, so you can quickly find one source of truth to find what you need and get back to work or back to your task at hand. But what if you can't find something? So in Slack, we have things called help channels, and they can be for anything you can think of. So we have a help IT, a help HR, a help API channel. So instead of asking a specific person, you can ask a team. And then anyone in that channel can answer your question for you. And of course, because those questions and their respective answers are indexed as well, anyone else who has that question in the future can find what they need. Those help channels kind of may become unruly over time. So what we've done is we built some custom integrations like this triage bot that you can see here that help us kind of manage those channels. So what they'll do is they'll read all of the requests in the channel and see which questions haven't been answered yet. We use, again, those reactions. We have the eyes emoji and the checkmark emoji. The eyes emoji denotes that someone's looking into the issue or dealing with it. The checkmark denotes that it's done. And this triage bot reads all of those requests, sees which questions have been reacted to with the checkmark and which haven't, and then kind of distills that for whoever's kind of managing the channel. So I might get a ping every hour or two that says, hey, Clint, you've got 4 requests in this channel. Can you kind of jump in and help? Or they can, if you want, you can tie in tools like Moveworks or any conversational language processing tools to help you answer the questions with bots and integrations. There's, as Logan mentioned, there's 2,500 apps in our App Store and a very open API. So you can reduce all of your context switching by pulling account data or bug data or documents from all of your different tools into Slack, making it faster than ever to automate all of your routine tasks with no coding required. The last thing I'd like to talk about is Slack Connect. So companies like Splunk, Snowflake, IBM, and Atlassian are all using Slack to streamline their development life cycles. And with Slack Connect, you can take a channel and share it into another workspace. Right now, you can share a channel with up to 20 other organizations, and by early next year, you'll be able to share a channel with 150 other organizations. So you can work with your vendors just like you do with your colleagues internally. Whether that's working through an issue or building a custom solution together, Slack helps you do this in an agile, human way. And this network effect is incredibly powerful. By working with your partners directly in Slack, you have the opportunity to create new value for your clients, becoming a strategic partner for your vendors, and adding a competitive edge in the market. Thank you so much. There's a session survey to fill out. Please complete that survey. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll be around for questions. If anyone has any, just stand up and fire away.
Yeah, and if you have a question, feel free to just stand it up and shout it out, and then we'll just repeat it, just so everyone can hear.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm using you correctly or not, but when you're talking about the search, indexing things, were you talking about indexing things from external sources, like a Dropbox or something?
You can, yeah. So
Hook Slack into some other service, and you can search in Slack to find it there.
So the question's about how you index different other services, and you can look within a file that's within Slack, right?
thanks. Yes, you can index all the things in your file sharing service. So it works one of two ways. So some tools like a Google Drive, anything that's shared into Slack is indexed. But a tool like Box allows you to plug in your entire kind of file management service, and then you can search all of Box from Slack without needing to share the files. So one of the two ways.
So that kind of sounds interesting. Like, do you have plans to integrate with like GitHub so you can like look at source code directly in Slack?
That would be cool. So the question was, do we have any plans to integrate something like GitHub so we can search a code repository in Slack? Not that I know of, but that would be very, very cool.